Hello everyone and welcome back to Align Plans. This is Meshi. Today we're actually talking about all the things that are actually worth it from Midori and what is something that you can kind of skip out on. So if you are sitting here and trying to kind of figure out like what are some of the items that were actually worth the investment this planner season, then for some reason I did not realize this, but apparently I got your back because apparently I have a lot of Midori products and I'm not even mad about it. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to break everything down into different categories. So the first category is going to be our core staples. We're going to look at some mindful journaling things. We're going to look at utilities that actually make your life easier. We're going to look at some accessories and then we'll wrap things up. So without further ado, let's just get started. So the first thing well, first of all, if you're wondering why we're doing this, I wanted to do this because I know that most of us are going to be doing some shopping for planner season. And I wanted to show you what were some of the products that I currently have that I would actually consider repurchasing for 2026. Obviously, I don't need to restock most of these just yet, but the thing is that at some point I will have to, and I wanted to just kind of mention what were some of the things that were actually worth the investment and what is something that I'm kind of ready to move on from, and no shade to that. So as you can tell, I have quite a few things in front of me. So the first category that I wanted to start with is our staples, like our core based fundamental staples. And that brings us to basically notebooks. So Midori actually does a fantastic job at notebooks. I have two different sizes and they play totally different functions. So the first size that I have here, this is in an A6 size, and it is, well, I have maybe like 3 pages left of this. So I'll just show you a brand new, spanking new one because, a spoiler, I already bought a replacement because I knew that this is going to be running out. Basically, it's a very simple grid notebook. You have some sections here so that you can kind of divide your pages. They show you where the halfway point is, and then, you know, horizontally you have 1, 2, 3 different, like 2 different dots where you can just put them into quarters. I generally don't like set up a grid in this. I actually use this almost like a budgeting tool or like an extension of a budgeting tool, because I have a budgeting tool that I use online, and then I also kind of break down anything and everything. That could be debt repayment, that could be payment plans that I'm creating, investment strategies. Generally speaking, I would actually use this in like a sinking fund update, or I would kind of, yeah, like I would use it as a sinking fund, and I would just kind of break down like the different bills that I would need to pull when I go to the bank. And right now we're down to the last like 2-3 pages. So I already have a backup. I would highly recommend this if you're looking for just like a small little hardcover notebook. You will notice that Midori has their designed really similarly when they design their products. So the front cover and the back cover is like this harder stock, and then you have like this glue that kind of pulls them together. Very simple, very easy, you know, it's very predictable. I do love the cream colored paper, as you can tell. There's something very special about that for me. So highly recommend the notebook. And this is what it looks like when you initially buy it. So this is an A6 grid notebook. By the way, if you are enjoying this video, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't had a chance to just yet. We do chat a couple of times a week on this channel, and for the month of October, we're actually going to shoot for 3 videos a week. Don't hold it against me if I can maintain it, but we will definitely try our best. But if you love videos like this, then make sure you subscribe so you don't miss another video. All right, let's get back into Midori products, shall we? The other one that I have here, this is in a B6 size, and I actually have 2 different booklets here. So one of them is actually I believe this is called a daily journal. I will find out the exact name, but this is basically a dated notebook where you have a monthly. So you have a full monthly layout here. This is what it looks like. And then you have like a thicker grid that you can write here. So you have a thicker column here, and then you obviously have the bottom completely blank. I loved it. Well, first of all, you never see this on camera because I usually use this to plan out anything and everything social media related. Primarily, I usually use this for short form content. And then when I'm outlining videos, I actually go to the other B6 notebook. And this is just a normal grid size notebook. And then it comes with like a little like marker. But I love this because these two together essentially become my little social media management tool. This does not include anything and everything that I'm creating for a business, but this is simply just what I'm actually planning on sharing on social media. You get the point. I don't have to keep harping on this. I like both of them because they work cohesively together. The one where you have the dated monthly, the weekly, and I'm using it quotation, weekly, it just basically looks like a lined notebook. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections per page. So on here, I usually just break it down from Monday to Thursday, and then here's Friday, Saturday, and then notes and next week. Or like you can kind of set it up however you want. Generally speaking, that's kind of how I like to set it up, so that I have an outline of the week and then I kind of know which direction I'm going with, and I start kind of like figuring out the details of it. And then I usually take the information from here and then I outline the actual videos of what I'm planning on saying and then what I want to cover. So obviously I would repurchase this because it fits this little canvas cover. This is from Baumkuchen. Superior Labor. So it's a Baumkuchen Superior Labor collaboration. I love it. I love the fact that it's canvas. So I don't know, there's just something really fun about it. Let's move on to, now that we've covered notebooks, let's talk about just like day-to-day stuff. Why don't we just move into the next category? Because even though this is like a day-to-day staple, but it's not, it's now falling into more into journaling territory. So for journaling, it's a little bit different because I actually have 3 different things to show you. So for journaling, I actually have this large A5 size notebook, and I usually do long format journaling here. So it's a little bit different than what I would do in the Hibino. So I'll just show you a couple of pages, but it's like, if I'm writing, I'm writing. You know what I mean? I want decor to be like the absolute minimal. And then in the very bottom of the page, as you notice, once you make it here, if you filled out the page, you get to kind of tear it off, go on to the next page. I don't use this very often, as you can tell. Like I haven't really made like a massive dent in it. However, I use this more for longer format journaling, and I actually bought a cover for it from Midori. I really love this. I really love this when I just want something very simple. This is a dot grid A5 size notebook, and the corner is perforated. I would highly recommend this if you just want something simple and you literally just want something where I just want a book where I can just write down my emotions. They have done, and I mentioned this a bunch of times before, but they have done some studies where both the cream colored paper and the blue dots, look up on their website. I'm going to see if I can find that screen where they were explaining this. But I think that was one of the things that sold me on this notebook, is that the combo of the blue and the cream colored paper or the yellow paper, it is more soothing on the eye, and with the feedback that you get from the paper, it has like a really calming effect in comparison to some of the other papers that they have tried. So I have this. I would repurchase this. I would highly recommend this. I hope that I have 20 of these, and I hope that I will actually fill more of these up because they're wonderful. Now, speaking of journaling, I'm actually going to show you 3 different options, but I'm showing this to you with a caveat, and I'll explain this towards the end as to why. So I have the Hibino from Midori. This is in an A6 size journal. I'm calling it a journal, but really it's more like a planner, because when you open it up, you have the calendar, you have some perpetual calendars going, and then you move into the monthly. And then after the monthly, you get 2 pages per day. The grid size, I believe the grid size is 3 or 4 millimeters. I will pop it on the screen. I'm not 100% sure right now. But on one side you have, I'm going to see if I can just find you a blank page. You can see there's a grid here. You can do some time blocking. You have some weather icons at the very top. You can see it a little bit better now. So you have some icons here at the top for the weather. You have two lines, which sometimes I have used this for what I'm embracing, what I'm releasing. So I would make it more into like a mindfulness practice, or like I've picked like a word of the day before. There's multiple ways that you can use this. I'm not sure if you can see this on camera, but here is like a divider line. And then here you can kind of do some day-to-day planning if that's what you want to do. I usually just set it up as like a short format agenda, and then how we're doing emotionally, and then here anything and everything goes. And then you have like a small calendar in the back. And this goes on all the way up to the very, very end of the year, basically. You don't really have like, you have like maybe 4 pages for extra, because they do give you a generous amount of note pages here that you can kind of work with. So it's something to keep in mind. I love this, and I've loved this little journal for like 2 years straight. So if you look back on my previous videos, I was a really huge Midori fan. It was like small and chunky, and everything is just very cute about this. You have like a soft, like it almost feels like leather cover. My issue with this, and like we will come back to that as a caveat, but anyway, so if you're looking for something that helps you like doing day-to-day journaling, then I would highly recommend this. And you know, there's really not much bad that I can say about this journal, especially if you want something small and compact that is not a Hobonichi. The other one that I want to recommend that I think you would probably love is actually the one a day. So this is also in an A6 size. This is the MD notebook diary. This is actually for 2026. So spoiler, I bought this for 2026. Really similar layout to the Hibino. The only thing that's mainly different is the monthly looks different. It looks really, really similar to what I just showed you in a B6 size a moment ago. But then your dailies kind of look like this. So you have from 8 to 24. You can do some time blocking if that's what you want to do. And then you have a column where you can, where you can do some journaling. And then you have some dots here for anything and everything. And then you can put in the date here. And this goes on for the entirety of the day. Do you get some notes in the back? I don't think you do. I think this is all you get. And then you have like the cover page at the very back. So very cute. It has like an orange bookmark somewhere. I think it's midway through. So you have like these huge bookmarks. One of them, I remember watching a video about this, and one of the threads are for the monthly. The other one is for whichever day you happen to be on. So it's just like all of these small little details that kind of make Midori both minimalist and very fun. And I wanted to mention one more. This is actually their like diary, their children's diary, and I'm gonna show you a blank page so that you kind of see it. I would recommend this mainly for children, as you can tell, because it is like like it is so gosh darn cute. If you're looking for actually a really cute journal, please buy this, and then please buy this for your children because they will love it. And I think that we can actually repurpose this for 2026. I initially bought this for my daughter, and she has used it pretty consistently. We're working on creating a habit where she is using her journals and her planners pretty consistently. So it does take some time, but this comes in a B6 size. It's a hardcover. Like everything about this just looks so adorable, but then also very, very sturdy. And I like the fact that they kept it blank so that you can jump in and out anytime you want to. So that's kind of why I would recommend this, and I would recommend this for kids for sure. Like if you're planning on teaching your children how to develop their journaling practice, this would be a really nice way of starting it. Let's move on to utilities and accessories. So for utilities, I would have to go with like 2 of my absolute favorite items that I bought from Midori that I will 100% repurchase. And that has to be my desk calendar. This is just a small little desk calendar. It stands up like this. I mean, so this is just in a heart. It's just heartstock. I love this. Can I just say, like, I love this. Here's just like some of the previous months when I actually took the time to decorate it. Can I just say like how much I love this? It's, you know what it is? It's the spacing. It's like you have so much space here. I actually feel like I want to write there instead of just, I have like this little square where I can just kind of mark down things that are happening that are important. And so far, and I do have another calendar on my husband's desk, and I hate that one because the calendar itself is so tiny and you can't write anything on there. So I feel like this was such a nice way of utilizing space. And I really love, I have to say, I really enjoy minimalist looking planners and desk calendars when it's not really flooded with too much information, but then it has enough space so that I can make notes if I really wanted to. 100% recommend that. You would probably love it. It's lovely. And the other thing that I really have been enjoying, and right now I still have quite a bit left. I mean, this is how much I have left, is their tearaway pad. It's large enough. Like here is one that I already tore up. It's large enough where I can put it into literally any of my journals and planners if I want to, but then it's not sticky. Thank God. It's not a sticky note. It's a tearaway pad. And like, I love writing on it. Again, I'm going to be just completely obsessing over the paper quality because that's definitely one thing that they have gotten me with. Obviously, as you can tell by how much I actually purchased from Midori. At this point, I feel like they should be sponsoring me. So with this, it's like I love the fact that I can just like take a chunk and I can just like give this much to my daughter if I really wanted to. So then everybody has their own little stash. So they give you a generous amount where it's useful, functional. I don't need to sell you on a tearaway pad. If you're looking for like a good quality one, that I would definitely pick this up. And now for like actual like really functional accessories, I feel like I've talked about this on my channel before, but if I haven't and you're wondering, let's talk about just base indexes. These are all indexes that I bought. So I have 3 different kinds, plus I have some texture. Okay, so let's talk first about the colored ones that are numbered. So both, actually, why don't I just use this? So this is numbered, and this is more of a gray toned one, and you get, I believe, two or 4 sheets. No, you get 2 rows. As you can tell, like as the light hits it, you can tell I already used up a full sheet here, and I still have one more row left, even though I'm missing a couple of months. So you have like this really cool toned gray hue here. And then the other one that they have is like this really colorful one. And I have used this previously whenever I was setting up like my Hobonichis. It was also great when I was setting up my Midori. It's not obnoxious. Actually, I wonder if it's in the Hibino right now. Yes, it is. So this is how much it pops out. Like, it's not obnoxious at all. It doesn't feel like it would be so abrasive that, you know, you couldn't, like, it kind of takes over your planner. Yeah, I didn't do last year's, but I did this year's. I would actually, my preference, now that I'm looking at it, my preference is 100% has to be this. It has to be the more colorful one. So this will be something that I will be picking up for planner season so that I can set up my planners for 2026. Highly recommend it. It's so inexpensive, and you get like a kit and then you're good to go for a few years. So this is not something that you would be buying year over year. The other one that I have that they also make are these guys. Let me use that same paper. And these are not numbered, they're just colored. So if you just wanted to just color coordinate your planner, then this would be awesome. I like the fact that the glue that's on this is not so strong that if you make a mistake, you couldn't correct it. And I mean, I wish I could find like some of the old footage that I had when I was setting up like previous Hobonichi planners. And you can see as I'm kind of trying to just like adjust the sticker, it made a world of a difference. The fact that these, the glue that they use here are not so abrasive that it was like ripping the page off. And then the other one that I have are a little bit wider. So this would be ideal if your planner is a little bit bigger. So more like a B6 or an A5 size. And then you have just like these little not textures. These are like patterns. So if you wanted something patterned where you're highlighting like a certain section of your planner, but not necessarily marking like your months or your days, this would be your best friend. One of the last things that I have to show you that I think would be really worth it. Well, okay, so this is sort of like a questionable one. I do like it, and I have like 3 different sets of this, and I do find them very functional. Sometimes I'm mad at myself when I actually forget to take this, because in all fairness, they are a lot more functional than what I have here. I wish, personally, here's what I wish. I wish that clean clear dot, like Zig would make it like this. Does that make sense? Like, so I love these from Midori. These are like their join dots. These are like some of their like recent releases for products. Basically what you get is you take this lid off and then they just join each other. And then you have like a dot marker. I don't know if you remember, when I was a kid, I actually used to have a pencil like this where you would just take the end out and then you would push it through the top, and then you would have like a new insert so that your pencil always stays sharp. Tell me in the comments you remember that, because I remember those pencils vividly. That's what this reminds me of. So anyways, like I'll find the name of all 3 of these. I know that this one is like the mocha one. I like them. My only like slight beef with them is that you have to have it completely straight when you're dotting it down. Otherwise, you don't get like a perfect circle. Versus, I'll just show you in comparison, versus if I'm just going in with the clear dot, with the clean dot, I get a clean dot every single time, because this is more like a soft sponge versus this is more like a hard marker. But it's not to say that I couldn't get it, and it's such a minor thing, but you know, if you get particular about your markers, then you know, you may or may not love this. But here's a little swatch. So this one is like pink. The colors are muted enough where it's not going to be obnoxious. Like, you know how sometimes you get highlighters and then they look really muted, but then as soon as you start using them, they're so strong that it just kind of, it just feels like you just stole like your kid's highlighter and then you went out of town with it. That's not what this feels like. So this is what it looks like on cream colored paper, in case you guys are wondering. I would recommend these because it's so cool where you can just like throw this in your purse, throw this in your pencil case, and then you can actually do some color coordination or color coding if that's what if that's how you do them. I find that it does save time, so that's my sales pitch on that. And then if you're looking for some decor, Midori also makes like this like super adorable stickers. I will always repurchase these just because they're small and clear, and again, just adds like a little something. And I think that that's one thing that I have to give it to Midori for, that they make like such beautiful minimalist products where they make it like a joy to actually use, versus sometimes I find that with other companies, like I do have, as I was preparing for this video, I do have like the sticker sheet from Hobonichi. No shade to Hobonichi. And like, honestly, no shade to Hobonichi, because I am actually returning to Hobonichi this year. So we'll talk more about that in the later months. But this is a sticker sheet that I have from Hobonichi. You know what I mean? And like you can tell, like I've used it, but this one, I don't find it to be as easily blendable into my spread as like the cute little dog. So that's just my 2 cents on that. I mentioned that I'm going to have a little caveat with Hibino, and I will talk a little bit more about that when we're talking about planner lineups and what I'm planning on getting and from who and all of that good stuff. My only caveat with the Midori Hibino is that as soon as you start using it, and if you're using it pretty regularly, you will find that it does get a little chunky depending on how much ephemera you add into your journal. I don't use mine really heavily, but I still use them. So just kind of keep that in mind. My thing with this is that this one is sort of like on a waiting list right now for me. Especially if you are in Canada, you will notice that for you to buy a Hibino, it costs like $94. So for me to buy a $94 journal, it feels a little steep in comparison to a similar looking daily diary, which really the main difference is that this gives me like 1 page less. So here I receive a page per day. Here I receive 2 pages per day. And obviously the printed layout, it's already printed, it's dated for me. So like, I understand that there's a little bit more goes into this. However, if I'm just looking at simply having something for the sake of journaling, then can I make peace with just the daily journal versus having a 2 per page? I'm having a hard time justifying the cost of how much it costs to get this. And I know that at some point, which it always happens, usually around midway through the year, they do put them on sale. So if I find that the journal that I'm setting up for 2026 is not working, I can return and it'll be fine. But it does kill me when I'm seeing, you know, so many blank pages. That just tells me that I'm not constantly creating time for me to connect with this journal. And I think that that was sort of like my main like feedback, that maybe we can just put the Hibino down for a year, see how things go. And then if it's something that I'm really, really missing from my lineup, I can always return back to it. But if it's something that I'm not missing from my lineup, then I save myself 94 bucks. See what I mean? So I do think that you kind of have to work with your own budget, and you have to make sure that the purchases that you're making does make sense. I wanted to share all of these with you because everything that I show you, I do use them pretty regularly. It's not something that I just buy and then it sits on the shelf. And if it is, then I end up kind of reevaluating that decision as I go. So I try my best to eliminate the things that are not working and then not constantly buy them for the sake of buying them. So I'm hoping that you will kind of do the same when it comes to your own purchases. I wanted to more like just give you kind of like an overview. What were the products that were actually worth my investment? Just so that if you're ever looking at any of the Midori products, then you kind of have a good baseline of what was like worth the investment, or what is something that you never even thought of versus what is something that was just kind of like meh. Obviously, some of these things are just like such everyday products, like a notebook or a tearaway pad or a desk calendar, that like, is it like, does it have to be from them? No, I just happen to naturally gravitate towards a minimalist look without me realizing that they're all coming from the same company. So just take that with a grain of salt. But either way, this is basically what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I would love to know, here's your question of the day. I would love to know in the comments, what are your favorite Midori products, if any? And please share it with me. I would love to kind of give you a quick shout out that you and I are loving the exact same thing, or maybe you're introducing me to something I haven't heard of. Either way, thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. And if you did, you already know what to do. You can give it a thumbs up, you can subscribe, you can hit the notification bell. That way you actually get notified whenever I release a new video. And in the meanwhile, just keep planning, keep journaling, keep doing all the things. And I cannot wait to see you guys in my next video. Bye.